On the David Noble Show, we don't normally we just normally start off cold, but you're definitely famous.
I'm famous.
You are famous.
Oh, that's good.
Would you call yourself an actor? How do you refer to yourself in your career?
I usually say an actor. I mean, I don't mind saying actress because it does define it, but we just always have that issue once we started. Feminism kind of rose its head. We're having a fight now. Yeah, I call myself an actor.
Yeah. And so that's how you would define your career, as in acting.
I'm really an entertainer because I started as a dancer, you know, and I danced for almost a dozen years before I was able to make the transition into acting. So I can't discard that because that was a great part of my life. Yeah.
So that's why I asked, right? Because again, at the David Noble Show, we have Kelly Bishop today. We think about things a little bit different, right? And I think one of the hardest questions people ask me is, what do you do? And I don't know what are you a professor? Yes, I teach. Right. Do you raise money? Yes, I've raised $50 million. Do you work with entrepreneurs? Yes. Do you produce? Yes. So it's been that challenge. And when I look back at how your career has evolved, did you start on Broadway?
No, you mean start as an actor or as a dancer? Really start?
As a dancer.
I started as a ballet dancer. I was very seriously classically trained.
Yes.
And so the whole idea was to just get to New York. And it's in my book. I'll pitch it.
Yes.
The Third Gilmore Girl.
I've read it.
So you read it. So
and
you
I
see
knew
what
the answer
happened.
to the question that I asked.
Because I thought I was going to get accepted into American Ballet Theater. And I certainly was good enough. And I wasn't suddenly, and which hit me like a ton of bricks. And the only thing that was around in 1962 for a ballet dancer, there's not even a lot of ballet jobs now, but then it was Radio City Music Hall and the Corps de Ballet, which they've been doing that along with the Rockettes since the 30s. So it was a place you could go to and actually make some sort of a living and still dance.
I once dated a ballerina from Miami Ballet.
Okay.
And I said, I didn't even know is this a profession?
There are a lot of ballet companies now, and it's wonderful. There's so many wonderful dancers, but back then it was really ballet theater, and I think New York City Ballet was around. Yeah. But now a lot of cities have their own ballet companies, which is wonderful.
What did you love about ballet?
There's the music, there's the discipline, just the steps themselves. It's so difficult. And you work for so many years on it. I mean, you start when you're a child and you work constantly until you're 18.
Till they tell you no.
Huh?
Till they tell you no.
Until you can get out of school, which is what I wanted to do. It's beautiful. Yeah. Well, that's in chorus line, isn't it? Everything's beautiful. The ballet, it's truly a beautiful, bit of entertainment.
Activity, yeah. Mm-hmm. The word discipline that you pulled into that, most people don't say, well, the thing I loved was discipline.
Well, I'm actually deep in my heart, I'm a very lazy person. I really am.
Really?
I can waste more time. You wouldn't believe how I can procrastinate. But when it comes to work, and it was both with dance and now with acting, I mean, I can sit and fantasize for half an hour and just sort of stare at a wall, and I go into this world that's wonderful. And then I look at it and I go, oh my God, I got to get going. But when it comes to when it comes to working on a script, on a character or something, I jump in and I just keep working and working and working. So there's two sides to me, but yeah, I do love the discipline. It kind of helps you in life, all the way around.
I played hockey growing up, and we had a hockey coach who was an extreme disciplinarian and made many great hockey players. And I was not one of them, unfortunately, but made many great NHL players in his programs and system. And I think people would argue as well, the discipline that I took out of that allowed me to be great in what I do.
Absolutely. And I mean, it sounds like and that doesn't surprise me about hockey because ballet, especially Russian ballet, and that was the school I came from, they're really severe and they're hard. And a nod is a great congratulations. And always suspected that ice hockey was like that.
So the Russians specifically too, though, the Russian
Well,
ballet to the Russian
yeah,
hockey
and
approach.
also there was also the Italian ballet, and so that was more the Cicchetti kind of thing. But it was the Romanovs, and that's Mr. Romanov was Russian.
And so in hockey, they run a similar. It's a different system, and they have their own system, and there's a discipline
and there's
element.
that same thing with hockey, like there is with dance, but with ballet, and particularly, you get hurt. You go to the locker room and they stop the bleeding and you come back out.
Come back out and finish,
and
right?
you come out and you play again. So you do the same thing as a dancer. Sometimes unwisely, but you do.
When you were growing up, did you think you would dance forever?
I think some part of me, I don't think that we ever got a speech or anything, but some part of me knew that it was a short career because it is an athletic career.
Right.
And most athletes, some of them can go on. You've got Nolan Ryan and people like that who can go. And actually heavyweight boxers can really have a long career.
Yeah.
But most athletes hit about the mid-30s and they're pretty much done. It's not that they can't do it. It's that there are younger people who can do it better.
Who do it better, yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's what I think was amazing about Tom Brady. And that's one of the things I love is just true excellence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and longevity, being excellent over a long period of time.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's you watch them and you wonder, and I sit back and I think, how do I do that, right? And I think there's a certain amount of reinvention of yourself that has to happen.
That's exactly what I was thinking. You keep changing as you go. You adapt, and I mean, I've even I laughed at myself the other day. I was just in the morning. I'm kind of slow in the morning anyway. I always have been. But I was kind of walking through the living room going, oh my God, you're walking like an old woman. And I went, oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. You are an old woman. Okay. You're allowed to walk like this. But no, it's just what's I find really kind of fun, and you might as well enjoy it because it's going to happen anyway, is the way your attitude changes, the way your priorities change as you age. You know, what's important in your 40s is different from what's going to happen in your 60s. Now, I just turned 81. My priorities are completely different, you know, and that's fine.
You don't have old woman energy, though.
No, I'm not.
You have young woman energy.
Then I look in the mirror and go, nah. Okay.
I'm doing the same thing. And, I'm getting to a transitional point in life, doing the same thing, going, I'm not as young as I once was. But like, how do you rectify that with the person you've always been in your career? How do you keep doing stuff? Like,
well, I'll tell you, with me, it's always been work. I love to work. Yeah. I'm just people always talk about wanting to retire, and I go, what would you do? You just would go and say you had a lot of money, go on vacation, and then what would you do? Play pickleball?
Getting dressed up and coming in here to talk to me. I'm just like, how do we do this?
Yeah.
And you play pickleball.
Each decade, as I look back now, I mean, of course, the 20s are. I mean, it's complicated, it's difficult, it's challenging, all that stuff. 20s, 30s, 40s. I loved the 50s when I was in my 50s. That was a really good decade for me. And then the 60s wasn't half bad. And now, you just keep plodding on, but you can always find joy places. You can always find excitement and discovery, and and you have to adapt. You do it.
Did you ever feel successful?
I feel like my life is successful, yes, because if nothing else, I like myself. Wow. I always have.
That's actually great.
It's really hard
point to look at and define success.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like themselves. I discovered that. I'm stunned. Yeah. I think I put it in the book that I decided to go to a cognitive behavioral therapist when I was, I don't know, it was about 3 years after my husband died. And it wasn't that I was depressed, and I was trying to readjust my thinking. about, okay, now I'm this age, I'm a widow. How do I just find a better focus? I love this woman, by the way. I just really look forward to seeing her. And the first, the first session that we had, she said, all right, I have homework for you. And she said, the first thing, when you come back next week, I want you to write down 5 things you like about yourself and bring them in. And I remember sitting there going, only 5?
Yeah.
Really?
I haven't even started.
That's gonna be hard.
So I have friends that make fun of me because I started a sentence once with the thing I love about myself the most. And I was like, what? You don't like, they make fun of me for that.
They're envious, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's a wonderful way to put it. I think it's great.
I was like, hey, I'm just sharing myself.
You get to spend time with yourself.
Do you think you could have been successful in any field?
It would have to be something I love to do.
Love to do.
And I was never academic. I really didn't want to be in school. I think it was being stuck behind a desk.
It's miserable.
That bothered me.
Yeah. I tried that as a lawyer.
I honestly couldn't think of anything else to do. I mean, like all little girls, I wanted to be a horse trainer.
Oh.
I wanted to be an archaeologist. It would have been nice. I'd sometimes think, what if I was a sculptor or a painter? But I fortunately had really good training and I had talent and I had the determination to make it. So I really don't know what I would have done. It would have been something in the field, though, I think.
You're in one of my favorite movies of all time, Dirty Dancing. Love the television show with Gilmore Girls. Obviously, that was a huge, huge success. Mm-hmm. And so, when you see yourself in the world, how do you see it? Like, when you turn on the TV and there you are, or you turn on it, you see someone talking about an anniversary of Dirty Dancing. Mm-hmm. That's,
I don't think of myself as like a star at all, because that wasn't ever my desire. I know that I have some standing now. I mean, I can tell now that the book is out.
Yeah.
I was very surprised at how many people knew me. And of course, I mean, I'm delighted about Gilmore Girls because that show was so good and it was not getting the attention, and I felt like the support from Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I agree. I entirely agree. And it was mismarketed, I think.
Yeah, they just weren't that interested. And it wasn't until years later when they kind of sold it off to Netflix, and suddenly there's this rush, and so now Warner Brothers is going, oh, well, yes, we always liked that show or whatever it was. Yeah. And then they teamed together to make those 4 extra episodes that we did, A Year in the Life or whatever it was. But I always thought it was such a quality show, and the writing is just great. And if you mentioned that she was seeing it more than once, when you go back and you see an episode again, you
show.
Pick up new things.
It's a different show.
It's just and there's such a decency about it. I'm proud of it. I'm very delighted that it's lasted this long.
I'm glad you are, because it's one of those things where people feel so strongly about it. And, I have friends that go to Stars Hollow and they think they go to Stars Hollow, and then they go to the fan events. And it created a community. Not every TV show or movie can do that.
Yeah, it's almost magical. I mean, that's the way I keep referring to it lately, because the way it keeps picking up new audience. And we said, I've been doing this book tour, so I will meet like young, somebody will come in and bring their 11-year-old sister, and she says, "Yeah, I've been watching," and I'm going, "Look, we have a whole new audience," and it keeps going and going. And you said you were watching, and I'm so glad men are watching it, because I think they really avoided it. It was just Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
So, but if you look at it, the way it's structured and just that brilliant writing, the guys are really very appealing.
Yeah, I think especially in probably the first 3 or 4 seasons, it is as good as television can get. And it isn't just a girl TV show. I think they mismarketed a little bit and missed when it came out.
At that point, Amy Sherman-Palladino, who created the whole thing,
she's a genius, right? Like she's
a genius.
She's
and I've never said it to her face, but she's probably heard that I've said it enough because she's now a friend of mine, so it'd be really hard to say you're a genius. But that's what I do tell people. She's at that level of intelligence. She's amazing. And she tells the story about how she had a meeting to pitch a show with Warner Brothers and went through a whole song and dance on and on and on. And they said, well, that's very good. And he said, well, we're not really interested in that. And as she was literally walking out the door, they said, do you have anything else? And she said, well, I have this idea about a show about a mother and her teenage daughter. And they said, good, we'll take it. It was like, because if you remember Warner Brothers, it was the WB.
Yes.
And they had all of these teenage shows.
Yeah.
And so that's what they thought they were getting was a teenage show. And they got a masterpiece.
Yeah. And, for her to go on and do Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah.
Like, which is also, again, I think still a mismarketed show. Like it is fantastic television.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I mean, at least this time it was Amazon who produced it, and they had never produced before.
Right.
They just keep selling us stuff, and like suckers, we keep buying them because it'll come the next day.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's something about what I've kind of lost.
Mrs. Maisel was such a good TV show, and it's so approachable. It's her writing, I think. It just like brings people in and builds community.
Yeah, there's a real humanity about her characters, even as quirky as they can be or odd or whatever. And Dan, her husband, Daniel, he's a good writer too. He always was. I mean, he's more of a comedy writer. Mm-hmm. I mean, she gets into a little bit more.
Yeah.
But he writes some. Now, I will tell you some funny stuff. They have a new show. It's called Étoile, which is, again, produced by Amazon because now they're going, ooh, we got Emmys. And we got, we know what we're doing. And they're actually filming in both Paris and New York. It's about two different ballet companies. And they decide to switch principal dancers, I guess, to drum up business. I don't know because I never read the pilot script.
Yeah.
But it's kind of amazing to me because Amy always loved the ballet. And I did 1 year with her on the 1 year that it lasted, a show called Bunheads, which was about a ballet school. And so she can't drop the ballet either. And so now she's got this new show, which is going to, I think it starts streaming like late April. And I was just out in California. They were celebrating her finally. Somebody was at the Paley Fest. I guess it was Bill Paley. And I remember Babe Paley. Babe Paley was a very classy lady. And
really?
Yeah. I mean, in magazines, I didn't know her.
Yeah.
And so they really honored her, and they brought two of us from Gilmore Girls, Lauren Gray and myself, and then from Maisel they had Rachel Brosnahan and Alex Borstein, and then they had Luke Kirby, who played in Maisel. He played Lenny Bruce.
Yes.
And
played well.
Oh, he's a good actor. And
how do you make Lenny Bruce likable?
I know. I don't know.
He did it though.
He's in what he's doing now is he's a star of Étoile. Yeah. He's one of the starring people, and he's cute as a button. He's such a good-looking guy, and he's nice, and he's a good actor.
Knowing the story, and knowing the story of Lenny Bruce, and you see him in that role, and you're like, that was the one part of Maisel, and it's clever because it's like it allows you to feel a lot of things. But that was the one part of Maisel that I was like, I want to cheer for him. Yeah. But I don't. But I know how this ends.
I do remember because I was around. I mean, I was probably a teenager during that time. I was very much aware of him, and he was not lovable. Yeah. He was funny and really bright, scary, and maybe ahead of his time even. Yeah. But he wasn't likable. But now that she's got this new show that we'll all have to see, and it turns out I ended up being able to be on that one too.
You snuck in?
Huh?
You snuck in,
Well,
huh?
what happened is I'm very cautious with this because Amy is a friend of mine now,
Yeah.
and I don't want to jeopardize any part of that friendship because the friendship is more important to me than the work.
Yeah.
But I was kind of wishing I could, I was aware of the fact that she was doing it, but also knowing if she wants me, she will call me, she will tell me. So time is going on. They're filming in Paris. They're filming in New York. And my agent called me and he said, there's a cast breakdown now for a character. So the new character, the name was Clara. And she's a very, very wealthy woman, but she's not Emily Gilmore, more wealthy than that. She comes from that kind of money. Which makes me suspect that it was like Lucia Chase, who was ballet theater. She came from the Chase family.
Yeah.
We still have Chase Manhattan background, don't we?
They sponsored early.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I think that's who this character was. And the breakdown sounded just right. So I, just to be cautious, I sent a text to Amy and I said, apparently in the cast breakdown, there's this character named Clara. And I'm wondering if this is something I should pursue. That's how I took it. So,
Yeah.
And she wrote back, oh, we'd love to have you play our Clara. And I went, I think I just got myself a job.
Yeah. And that's it.
So I did three episodes and it was wonderful.
Exciting. So I have to say it's hard not to ask, right?
What?
To be in the show. It's hard to want to be in it.
Especially when you see other people that you've worked with who worked with Amy.
Right.
And they're in it. And they go, oh. But I trust her implicitly. And she would, she would have, and that's why I don't know anything about it. I didn't read the pilot script. I was not part of it. It was just as they went on. They decided to create the mother I'm Luke Kirby's mother. So
Why are you a great person to play rich women?
Because it's a little extreme way I'm going to put this.
That's the best way, right?
The very, very wealthy people who are so elite and so refined, and I don't relate to them at all.
Uh-huh.
I really don't have anything to talk to them about. I mean, they're even their value systems. I know there's some of them who are wonderful with philanthropies and such, but that's not my world. And so very often with the very wealthy women, they can be really nasty.
Yes.
And I love playing that. I just want to make them even nastier.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Why?
Because I don't like them.
Oh, so there's one of my favorite GIFs is you ringing the bell as Emily Gilmore.
Oh yes.
So I send that to everybody.
Yeah,
all right, come on, it's time.
She's just so, and it turns out, and what I loved about being able to do that show for so long, it turns out in subsequent years we started to see the insecurity that Emily really has. I mean, it's not profound, but it's there because she's got a whole front on her. She's got a uniform on, and that there's not that much strength in her. So little by little, Amy was able to show her vulnerabilities, which made her more human.
When you get 7-8 year run, you're able to dive in at a different level, right?
The 7th year wasn't that much fun because there was no Amy.
Yeah,
and
that's right. So
they tried hard, but it was.
Yeah, well,
that's okay.
Hey, yeah. I think the first 4 seasons are I could go back and watch the first 4 just on repeat.
That's great.
Alone. It changes when Alexis goes to school, right? Like the whole thing just and I think the fact that they were able to make that transition, that's an accomplishment in and of itself. When you take the teenager and make her now a college student down the road, and it's a remarkable thing. It's evident to see your pride in that character.
Yeah.
Like just when you start talking about it, you can see the pride in it. Is that something you've always had in your work where from ballet saying?
Well, I think in the work and also when it comes to playing characters, now that I'm an actor, I have to find something to identify with. So I have to find something to like about the character in order to embrace her and then to give her life, So, I do like Emily because I understand her. And of course, if you read the Third Gilmore Girl and know that she really kind of was my grandmother.
Yeah.
I mean, my grandmother was not a wealthy woman. Quite the opposite, but she was very classy
Prim.
and very tough, you know. So I saw Emily in her, or I saw her in Emily immediately. So
I had one mean grandmother, and she used to call me the spiller. And she'd be like, "Oh, the spiller," because I'm going to spill a drink. And I'm like, "Well, if you call me the spiller, I'm going to spill a drink every time you're near me."
I have to be true to you.
I think, it's like, I take that. So we're not sure if I'm the nutty professor or the mad scientist.
You could be both.
Well, that's what I think. We're trying to figure it out.
Okay.
But I mean, I've spent a lot of time trying to understand what I'm actually great at. And I think, was it just apparent to you? Or was it that fact that there was nothing else there, so you might as well get great at it? Like, this is the only thing I can think of doing, I want to do, so I might as well get great at it? Or was it like, no, I'm great?
You can only get great at it if you keep working at it.
Yeah.
But I've come to a new conclusion, which I think is absolutely 100% true. If you love something, you're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're good at something, you love it.
Yeah.
And that's where it is. So I think the main thing you have to do is find something you love.
And that's
because then it's not work.
Right. And that's a cliche, I think, that people say to kids, right?
Yeah.
And like, what I try to talk to kids about is, well, that means you have to try things.
Oh, sure.
Because you don't know if you're good at it.
Yeah.
And you don't know if you love it.
Yeah.
Until you get there.
Go out and try it. And go, I hated that. I don't want to do that anymore. Okay. Well,
right. Yeah.
And that was fun. When are you doing that again? Now you're on the road to something. You know.
When you are winning a Tony Award, do you think it's easy? Like in that moment, like, oh, the rest of the life is easy. Do you have that thought, or is it, or were you able to realize, oh, this is still all work? Like, did you think you were at the peak and like, oh, it just takes care of itself from here?
Some people think that. No, I was. Maybe I'm cynical. But I'm not really not, because I'm actually a very positive person. But the whole idea of that. Well, first of all, the role in a chorus line. First of all, a chorus line, the biggest show in the world. Fabulous show. It's so innovative, amazing. And I had that wonderful part. And then I got nominated. Well, you see people always have nominations in their credits,
Right.
And then I won, which I totally did not expect to do, because my best friend Priscilla Lopez was supposed to win. That was conventional wisdom. And I thought they were probably right. And then I won it. So all of that, to me, that whole process was a stepping stone to convincing the world that I was an actor, not a dancer anymore.
Wow.
Not a musical performer, an actor. And so I was going to take whatever I could get out of that and use that to
make that move.
I remember being in California. There's such a difference in the industry between New York and California.
It's wild.
There was at that time anyway. And I remember going to a casting call, and a woman, she was not the head casting agent. She was probably her assistant and everything. And we're sitting there. I hand her my headshot and with all my credits on it. And she sits there and she's reading and reading and reading. And then she gets done. She said, put it down. She said, "So what have you done?" And I looked at her and I said, "Since winning a Tony Award,"
yeah,
which I don't know if she even got, because she was California, young California. I don't know what's a Tony Award, but I got, and you're in charge of casting me in something?
Yeah.
Oh no, but
that's Stephanie. Stephanie came up in casting. That was her thing.
That's boy. If you're good at that, it's really a talent.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've worked with people who've been wonderful at casting, and I've worked with people who've not been.
Yeah.
And it's all the difference in the world, and it's really a technique that I really appreciate.
Well, I was talking to the guys that did Game of Thrones, and I was like, "Who do you cast as me in my show?" Like, and they keep coming back with Nicolas Cage, and I'm like, "That's too weird. Like, you guys are not getting my show." Like they're not
that's
doing my
interesting.
biography.
Because I don't know you, but I can't
I guess
even
I'm
imagine
crazy.
you
I guess
as
they think I'm
Nicolas Cage.
crazy. I was like, I don't think it's Nicolas Cage, guys.
Yeah.
So I'm only giving it to someone that says Marky Mark. That's a wonderful casting agent. Everybody else, they're not good.
No, it's really when it makes all the difference in the world. Years ago, I worked with he was really a choreographer, but he also directed like industrials and things like that. And he wasn't a good director, and he wasn't really even a very good choreographer, but he could cast.
Huh.
And what would happen is the cast then would take care of themselves.
Yeah. She did House.
Yeah.
She did House. Now that she's not here, we'll say nice things about her. But like she did House, and like that TV show was also just an epic show, right?
Yeah,
with Hugh Laurie, who played one of the great TV characters of all time.
He's so wonderful, anyway.
Yeah, but I mean that character, and so it's like, and she's like, she gets into it. She starts geeking out. I like to give her a hard time when she's here, but it's fun to listen to casting agents that know how to cast.
Oh yes,
talk about what they're thinking about, what they're see. So I can't see what she sees.
Yeah,
I have no idea what she sees. I have to ask her, and she helps on a lot of documentaries that I do.
Okay.
And so I'm like, oh, what's here? What's this? Because I don't have that artistic vision. Yeah. Do you, this is not a weird question, but do you have a regret from your career, not from your life, but from your career? Is there a regret that sort of opens up the door for students to think about how they can try different things?
I would say the one regret, and I will never know, was that although it all worked out, that I didn't have the courage to say audition for straight plays when I was still in musical theater, because I thought they won't pay any attention to me. I don't know, because I never tried.
Yeah.
So I think that any regrets I might have had. There's also one time, I have to say, I was cast in a Shakespeare play in Philadelphia. And that's intimidating, because I'm not a trained actor. I didn't go to acting school. I didn't learn,
Yeah.
And it was pretty intimidating. I was rather impressed with myself that I did. I sat and I had a little book of Shakespeare thing, and I sat and did an audition, and bingo, I had the job. And that was really flattering, but it was intimidating. And at the same time, there was pilot season. Now, pilot season is what we used to do when we had regular television.
It's gone now.
And it's gone now. But, the conventional wisdom is, and so you go out to California, hang around for 5-6 weeks and see all these, going for all these things. And so the agent at the agency I was with was talking about my going out there, and that was a coward's move, because I decided I will go out to California for pilot season, and I know I did it to escape what was scaring me. And I think it's always a really good idea to do what scares you.
I call it, Jim Penders coaches the Yukon baseball team, and he says, Buffalo run at the storm. And so you got to embrace the storm that's coming, you run at it instead of away from it. Yeah.
You can't be foolish. I mean, there's certain things that probably aren't a good idea, and you know it. But that's the other thing I'm a great believer in, is follow your instinct. Yeah. If your gut says, hey, it's not a good idea, don't do it. And everybody's going, oh, come on, do it. And your gut saying, don't do it. So it's the same thing. I mean, you're not going to do foolish things. But if it's a little dangerous, and somebody wants you to do it, and they're going to pay you for it, even if it's lousy money, do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. What's going to happen? You're terrible.
Yeah. I think, most kids that grow up with regret, it will be exactly that. It will be, they were afraid to just try something.
Because they're afraid of failure, and we all understand that. But the thing is, you're going to fail at things. You kind of have to fail in order to learn.
Do you think building a career in acting and theater and dance, you just sort of understand that? Like, people you audition, and sometimes they say yes, and sometimes they say no. So, like if you're expecting 100% yeses, this is not the career for you.
That's one thing I do tell young actors if I have occasion to speak to them is you got to be tough. You cannot let rejection get under your skin. You just have to brush it off. You feel bad, and that's right. And sometimes you walk out and you've been rejected, and you walk out and you think they're wrong. They're completely wrong.
Yeah.
They really made a mistake there. And so you have to let it happen to you. And I can't tell you how many times when I haven't gotten the job I wanted, that within a month or two, I start hearing about that job.
Yeah.
But I'm doing another job that I'm loving, and everybody's having trouble on the job that I wanted.
Yeah.
And I'm going,
serendipity.
serendipity. It's okay. So you got to try it. Yeah. I mean, like I said, the worst thing, or the very worst thing is there a review will come out, not that, that's going to happen for young actors necessarily anyway, is that, and they'll say she was terrible. Well, that'll hurt my feelings. So what? It's going to stop me? I won't stop breathing.
Nobody's ever said you were terrible.
Huh?
Have you ever gotten a bad review? Nobody's ever said you're terrible. No.
But I haven't gotten that many reviews, really. Yeah.
You got a few.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not terrible. So it's like
that's not also what I do. I mean, that's part of my odd approach to all of this. And not wanting to necessarily be a star or to be this or to be that. I also don't have that kind of ego where I have to go, oh, you see, they said I was in. I go, I'm taking it from the audience. The audience is reacting the way I want them to, and we're having a good time together. So if the critic says it's terrible, fine. I think it's terrible. I don't care. Yeah.
The critics have an agenda oftentimes, right? And I think to your point, that feeling of knowing yourself and liking yourself allows you to move forward. If someone says something bad about you, the social media today is now that world, right? Like the comments, the things they say and that nonsense.
Guess who's not on social media?
You.
Who does it? Me.
Yeah.
Not ever.
You're on so much social media.
Well, no, apparently now there's, but I have nothing to do with that. I don't go, and I
but
don't look at it.
You are you are iconic on social media.
No, but when it comes to being obnoxious or something, I remember saying this, and it was terribly clever, I thought, but I kind of hold on to it. I don't have too many occasions to say it. I was saying something to someone and being a little sassy about the whole thing. And this guy said, you're really a pain in the ass. And I said, it's part of my charm.
So I sent a text message to my boss or an email the other day, and I said, I know I'm a pain in the ass, but you're still the boss, so I'm willing to come have coffee with you. And funny. It's sometimes you got to be a pain in the ass, though. Like, are you right a lot when you're watching something? When you get into that mood, you're not doing it just out of being difficult
or being powerful
right? Yeah. It's like
I have no need to do that.
You've developed enough experience, enough vision to be right.
And it's also still an opinion, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with me.
Yeah.
I have to agree with me.
That's, and I think people are afraid. Again, you've hit on this theme a couple times that I think really will resonate with younger women and men, is that they're so afraid today. Yeah. There is just this overwhelming fear. And what I see over and over again, people that succeed, they get past that fear. It's not absent. Like when you opened on Chorus Line, you must have been horrified. It must have been scary.
Well, first of all, that was an unusual show in that we rehearsed literally from workshop to rehearsals to first preview. We worked for 15 weeks. That never happens. It got to a point with my section, which I had nailed. I mean, I had it. When you work on stage, you're in rehearsals and you get to little steps that you take. And I'd gotten to the step where I had everything lined up and everything was right. And my next step was to have an audience, but we didn't have an audience because we're still working on the rest of the show. So what Michael Bennett very cleverly did, and I'm grateful to him for it, is he skipped my section. You've seen a chorus line, you know how it goes, and you get to Sheila. And so he would skip Sheila, and then he'd go on to the next one because those things were the things that needed work. Mine didn't need work. Mine was good at the point it was supposed to be. The next step forward would be to start playing with an audience. And I had to wait. So,
we're not going to do this. We're not going to keep doing this without an audience.
What happens is because then you start toying with it because you get bored and the people you're working with get bored hearing it. And so you start to play with it, a little innuendo here and there. And then you're taking away the thing that made it so right. So he just took it. It's great.
Looking back on your career, if you were to sum it up to someone, that 11-year-old coming in to the book signing to someone, how would you sum up your career to them?
Well, I would sum it up as saying I've been remarkably lucky.
Yeah.
But I've also really worked hard.
Yeah.
I always work hard. And I kind of wouldn't take no for an answer. I gave myself a deal when I got out of the chorus or was getting out of the chorus, 2 years. 2 years up or out. And if I'd hit the 2-year mark and had not gotten up to where I wanted to be or even up at all, then I would have had to sit down and have a real serious thinking session. But I probably would have somehow stayed around the business. I always loved lighting. I think lighting fascinates me, how the mood changes, and especially on the stage, what you can do with it. So it might have been something like that. Who knows? I don't know.
We have a fantastic professor at UConn in stage engineering, and I love to listen to him geek out about lighting and construction around the stage because it's just an entirely different art form, like building a stage. And so, Chris spends a ton of time playing around in here and building this out. And if you saw it in December, you'd be like, "There's no way this is the studio, right?" And you come through
this is a beautiful place. I really like walking in here.
I'm kind of proud of the work he's done at this point. So Chris was a student of mine as well back 10 years ago now.
I know him as the Nutty Professor.
Yeah.
Nutty Professor, okay.
So we work with, most of the people I work with today were students at some point.
Well, that's wonderful.
Why else be a teacher if you can't enjoy the fruits of your labor and start to work with people?
That's wonderful.
And so, we've been building this concept of what I call creatorship. It's that creation with entrepreneurship, right? And that's where I think entertainment crosses over. And most actors don't think of themselves as entrepreneurs, or most producers don't think of themselves as entrepreneurs. But I'm like, well, kind of look at what you've done. And that I don't take no. I worked hard. I got creative. I found new ways to solve problems and get indoors. And it's like, well, you take the entrepreneurial pathway there. So you're an entrepreneur. No, it wasn't easy. Like nobody shows up. Like nobody shows up and is like, all right,
no. Sometimes you have to kick the door down.
Yeah. And you have to think about it a little bit differently. I think to really break through. When that's been a recurring theme with different actors that have come in, is like, well, I was poor. I didn't stop. I kept working. Someone told me I was good. I knew I was good. I was making progress, but I wasn't there. Do you remember that moment where you were, I'm now an actor? No,
not really. I mean, what I was kind of gauging it by is the jobs I got.
Yeah.
And even Dirty Dancing, which is the whole world's favorite movie.
Yeah.
And mine too. I think it's just adorable. So it's just wonderful. And we all love that song at the end. We all just go crazy. We didn't even think that was a good film.
Really?
We thought the title was stupid. I'm Dirty Dancing, And it wasn't until I saw the finished product, and even that didn't look so great. And then they added the music. They added all those great rock songs. They brought back a lot of careers for some groups that had been really popular during that era, and now they're doing all those shows for old people. You know,
I go up. I go up there on PBS. I go up to the Catskills, and that's whomever I'm driving up with. I'm like, oh, this is where we're going, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I thought that was kind of cool is in Mrs. Maisel too, where they brought the Maisel family back into that same world.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
And you can see that overlap of those characters. But yeah, Dirty Dancing just he was so good too, Patrick Swayze.
Oh, fantastic.
Ghost was something else. Val Kilmer died this week.
I know.
And I was such a fan of his.
Yeah.
And like I go all the way back to when he was in school, True Genius or Real Genius. But he plays Elvis in a Quentin Tarantino movie, and he's never on camera.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, but it's Val Kilmer because it's,
I didn't know.
Maybe it's True Romance. I forget. But he was so good. Patrick Swayze and Val Kilmer, they were that sort of generation of actors, and they're just gone too early.
Way too early. Just awful. Yeah.
But to see Patrick Swayze dancing around and then go to Roadhouse and fighting, and it's like he just had something.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't believe, you look at Dirty Dancing and go, this ain't that good. Because it just was iconic, right? Like the whole world, when that came out, the whole world stopped for it.
Yeah, and it was funny because I think that I had heard that the producers on this, certainly was a low budget film.
Yeah.
Nobody made a lot. I think that Patrick and Jerry Orbach and Jennifer Grey, they got a little piece of the film. So they're doing.
They did it right, yeah.
But the rest of us didn't. Is that it's. I don't know. It's that kind of film that you just feel so good about seeing again.
Really?
And Patrick's work in it was amazing. And his dancing. He was a very good dancer.
Yeah.
So
was he trained as a dancer?
Yes. His mother had actually, I think, had a dance studio. I don't know if it's all ballet or if it was ballet.
So you didn't have to sit there and instruct him?
So, no. He definitely knew how to dance. He definitely knew his stuff. So, and he even, kind of the macho thing is that the stuff on the log when he was teaching Baby to do the thing and they were on that log barefoot, they really didn't want him to do that because he could injure himself. And he was determined to do it. And he did kind of fall and kind of mess up his knee a little bit, but he danced. And then I ran into him several years later when I was out in L.A. and after a performance of a play I was doing. And he had again was doing his own stunt work, and they didn't want him to. And then something happened with the horse, and then finally he had to back off. He could even admit it himself. He just okay, this.
He was so great.
Yeah.
We had a question come in from a student here. We always have.
Okay.
You're the season finale for season 2, and in season 2 we had student questions.
Okay.
Hi, Kelly. Big fan here. I recently read a New York Times article talking about the Generation X career meltdown, where a bunch of professionals within the Generation X community are experiencing drought and finding that their skills are becoming obsolete at what should be their peak within their careers. I'm wondering what your advice is to those professionals and also people wanting to enter the creative industry no matter their generation.
Okay.
So what's that? Generation X is about 50 years old, right?
Yeah.
And you had a great 50s, you said.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I was playing Emily Gilmore.
Yeah, well. And so the folks that don't, they're finding themselves technologically excluded. Do you have any advice for those people how to get back into the game?
Yeah, in the 50s and 60s, this is kind of a Hollywood thing. I think it's Hollywood, just Hollywood. there was always this school of thought that, like, especially with a woman, you hit 40, you are over the hill. You're an old woman. We don't want you. You were going for the young people. And I think that there's still a certain amount of that. I don't know how I managed to escape it, but don't tell me I can't do that.
I think it's the young woman energy. Like, it's the young woman energy.
I guess, and they're pretty. Come on, they're pretty. There are no wrinkles. They have great bodies.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you avoided it by bringing that energy.
Well, thank you. But on the other hand, I was again lucky. I've had a lot of things, opportunities come up for me, of jobs that I managed to get. I mean, the right place, the right time, that's something you really can't control. But you can, I would say one thing is be very alert. Yeah. Because one of the things I've seen through my life, and particularly with people in the entertainment business, is they don't recognize an opportunity when it's there.
Yeah.
You know,
they're not around the hoop.
Yeah.
That's what we call it.
Is that what
yeah,
I like
it's
that.
a basketball thing. Like, if you're around the hoop, you can catch the rebound. If you're all the way over there, you can't get it. I think that concept does extend beyond Hollywood. It's just it's a little bit later. Mm-hmm. And I think in acting and in Hollywood, it's a little tougher because, like, if your nose is a little too long, you don't get a part. If your ears are too big or too small, or your nose is too small, or your lips are too full, or they're not full enough the next time, and you have all of those calculations going in as well, that it makes it really super difficult. But I think the technology change, the pace of technology change,
it did.
Is like, so now you're 50 years old, you're younger physically, right? And like, I think today most 50-year-olds are younger physically than previous generations, but they're older technologally.
Yes, well, you should live my life. I mean, I'm lucky that I can send a text and read a news story. I mean, I'm baffled by this whole thing because we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have a lot of things. But as far as like the burnout, it's very hard in the business because they don't write the roles, for one. And you got to really have a lot of tenacity. You have to be very determined. And if it becomes, I feel this way about any actor, and maybe it's any field, if the pursuit of the dream stops becoming fun or challenging, or you had an experience that really felt good, even if it didn't work, when that all stops and it's really drudgery and it's awful, get out. Yeah. Find something else to do. Bring all that stuff that you learned with you.
Coaching is the same way. Coaching sports. There comes a point in your success where not losing is the goal. Because winning is just staying here.
Right. It's true.
But losing is like this devastating, horrible thing. Yeah. And all you have is downside. You have no upside. Yeah. There's no benefit. And I think the same thing, like when I talk to people that have been coaching, like, move, try something different, get out of it. Yeah. Don't stay in that same rut. Yeah. And I mean, so, all right. So I know you have to go back to New Jersey. I would be remiss. One of our friends, Ann Warren, she just got married 2 or 3 weeks ago. She does, like, she goes on her own. She flies from Dallas to Connecticut to go to the Gilmore Girl stories, the events. Mm-hmm. And like, some people laugh at her, right? And they're like, "You're crazy. You're going on vacation around a television show it's not actually there, and you're why do you think people can stay with a show for 20 years like that?"
It rather baffles me. I think with that particular show, because it's just such a good show. And one of the most delightful things I ever heard, I think it was about the show, is that that when we were still in Afghanistan, and that the troops, when they would come off maneuvers for the day and they'd get back to the barracks, they'd watch Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
Because that's good. It makes you feel good. It's safe.
There's not. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to take a vacation and do that and go into Fantasyland and have fun, and then of course she's obviously meeting other people that have the same passion. Yeah. That's a fun vacation.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think there's anything to laugh at. I wouldn't particularly want to go, but you know.
Well, maybe if they pay you to, you got to show up.
They
and
do
talk.
pay for some. I've just started kind of learning because you see a lot of those little conventions that actors do, and they're sitting there, and they do get paid for that. Yeah. So I haven't.
We were talking about doing one for Groundhog Day with Bill Murray.
Over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. See, it's easy, right? Like it makes sense. Yeah. So you do it every quarter, you do it here, there. Yeah, no, over and over again. But no, so I want to thank you so much. I have one last question, and this was my personal question.
Okay.
The show is done, Gilmore Girls show is done at such a speed, the talking is at a speed, right? Mm. Like, and I think that's why it translates to these kids is because it's at a different, the conversations are different than normal. And was that a design? Was that a feature? Was that's
Amy Sherman-Palladino, because that's what her brain does, I think. We talked about Gene. I mean, that's how fast it goes. Yeah. It happens that I'm very comfortable with that. On more than one occasion as an actor and on stage, I've been told to slow down. So for me to talk fast is fine. Sometimes I even had to talk faster because of Amy's. But I think one of the things that is appealing, the point that you raise, is with technology. Now we obviously have computers, we have phones, we have all of these devices, we have games we can play. Our brains, my brain is maybe a little faster than it used to be, but I'm also 80 years old. Younger brains are going much faster.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah.
And that's why that show, that's probably just regular old television to them.
To them, yeah. No, it's not slow.
Because they
right.
can pick up everything. It's amazing because I really do think there's been a transition in our brains.
Yeah, it's attention span. There's enough research that shows attention span declining. And I've always, and I you'll be surprised, but I have massive ADHD and I can get into 10,000 things and do all these things. And I, like you, very much love to take 30 minutes and go into a different world because it's refreshing to me to be able to do the things that are hard to do. But like when I think that's why I was able to watch the show was because of the speed at which I can either watch a slow burn or a fast show. Like anything in between, normal, I'll call it. Yeah. I struggle in that lane.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask about that because I never knew if I'd ever get a chance again. And it's a feature to the show that especially when Lauren starts talking and you're like, and she's mad at you and she's mad at Alexis and
she's good. Oh, Lauren's a wonderful actress. I mean, and I wish
I had such a crush on her when I was younger.
I can understand why, and she's another person who's truly a friend out of that show. She's like my daughter. And she's so good. I would love to see her do something that was even more removed from, I mean, she's a little pigeonholed. We all are. That it's going to happen. If you do it and you're successful at it, they're going to want you to do it again with a different name. But I would like to have people see her because she's really a good actress. But she's, this is how she makes money, isn't it? So she's going to keep doing it.
Yeah. I think there'll be a point in time for her.
I think so. I think maybe in another 10 years, because then she will kind of have been able to actually step away from that. And, but I mean, she's delightful. She's really smart. Both she and Amy are very, very intelligent. And so, I love hanging around with the two of them because I guess that makes me intelligent too.
It's fun to be with smart people, right?
Yeah, smart people are fun if they're nice.
Even sometimes when they're not nice, I can deal with them because it's like,
well, they can be snarky about things if they're right.
Snarky, but there's a price to pay when you're wrong, right?
Yeah, right.
And Chris over there, he tears me up when I'm wrong. So yeah. Yeah, it is balanced. No. So I really want to say I appreciate it. This is probably I like to tell people this is the best podcast nobody watches. So, but in reality, I think the message that you have is really incredibly relevant to the young, especially the young women in the world who don't know what to do. And they look at it and they feel scared and they feel trapped and they want to go do something. And I think that's where your story and your biography and why we'll give it to a lot of people from our office is it's like, you have to go do this or it won't happen.
And the other thing is, I mean, I think when you really love something, and you can love anything, you can love technology, you can love like publishing or whatever it is, you're kind of driven to do it. You kind of have to do it because that's propelling you because the urge is so strong, and then the pleasure is so great when it turns out you were right and you were really good at it. So it's hard to be brave sometimes. Of course it is.
So you're the only person I didn't make Stephanie deliver our one company that gives us stuff to hand out is an organic underwear, men's organic underwear. So we'll take care of Robert.
Good. Yeah, he needs that.
But
he needs that.
Yeah. So, but you're the only person I didn't make her ask what their underwear size was this entire season. And like, I think it's funny to make her do that, but you were just too gracious, too wonderful. We hassled him like for a long time.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And so thank you for coming.
Thank you for asking.
And I know a number of my students for a number of years are gonna love hearing your takes on your career and how they can do it. So thank you.
Be brave. You got one chance. One chance. I think we have a lot of chances because I believe in reincarnation. It's one that we can remember. Do it.
That's the piece. So I'm not far off on reincarnation with you, but you don't remember from time to time, most likely. No. So like, you got to enjoy this run.
Yeah.
This run. This is whatever eternal life looks like to someone. This one is the one we're in.
Yep.
Right. And so it's wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate it. And if you ever need anything, ask.
Just call out my name.
There you go.
And you know wherever I am.